Okay, so I am working on this Pw50. It needs to be cleaned up a little bit. It's got some old oil on it. I just pulled this drain bolt out. I drained the oil. I'm just kind of letting it drip now because this drain bolt's, I'm pretty sure it's got to stay out. What I'm trying to do is I got a leak. It's like right around in here, right on this back side, but it's leaking pretty good right around there. So I'm just going to replace this gasket. Hopefully that works. You got a bolt. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm thinking that has to come out. So I'm saying 5, 6, and then a 7th, which I don't know. We might have to pull this engine because that bolt looks practically impossible to get to because the frame's in the way. So might have to pull this engine. I'm not 100%, but find out in a second. So I've got to say, grab yourself a flat head. There's a bolt right there for this, and then there's this little thing. It's like a little tab. You just got to bend that up just to get it walked away from there. So, and that's just to pull this little cover off. So just that bolt right there and this little tab, and this cover should come off. So I pulled that tab and I pulled the bolts, but this thing still won't come out. And I don't want to break it. So I'm gonna pull the seat, and probably I don't know if I'll have to pull the tank or not. But yeah, like I said, 2 bolts. This little mud thing comes out. Those are the 2 bolts right there. And this just pops up off just like that. Seat comes with it, everything. So I'm just gonna sit it down here on the ground. And then now you're to your recoil. You got the carburetor and everything all right down in there and in. Thinking this exhaust is gonna have to come off. So it's probably gonna have to come off down here, which means this is gonna have to come. So you take this off, you break this down, and then this all comes out this way. But this piece has got to come off here. So it's got this little seal just to seal it up. And then there's I think that's like a 10mm bolt, which I should have right here. Yep. So just pull this bolt off, and we'll pull the bolts off down here, which I'm not 100%. Those might be 10mm too. I don't know. But yeah, go ahead and pull this bolt. Pull them bolts. Okay, so I got the bolt unloosened. So now this will drop down. Pull that bolt. And this will come right out just like that. I'm just going to set it over there. And then make sure you don't lose any of that stuff. I'm just going to throw this right back in where I got it from, because so you don't lose the bolt. Same thing with these 2 bolts. I'm going to do that same thing. Just going to throw them back in here. There's this right back in there. Just throw them back in. Just because, why not? There's no reason not to do it. Gives you a little more time, but it's like, it's either that or you can lose these bolts, and nobody wants to do that and lose the bolts. Have to fight finding them, putting them in a little tiny like bin like that or something like that, and having to look for them till you can't find them, and you give up and you get mad and you get beat off and all this crap. So it's just simpler just to put them back where you got them from if you can. I know there's some spots where you can't. Obviously these 2 bolts, this is the drain plug. This is for this right there. So I'll pull this end off and get back to you. I almost forgot. There's also a bolt right here for the exhaust, holding on back here. So that's another bolt. Forgot about that one. So just make sure you get that bolt out too before you start prying on it. So this one back here is a 12mm. And those are 10, but you will probably have to get them with a wrench. So just make sure you do that. Exhaust is out. Like I said, there was a bolt right there, which is right here. It's just a 12mm. I'm going to throw it back where it was. And then these bolts down here really don't have to come all the way out. Just get them out till you can wiggle the exhaust out, because it's got them little flanges. Also, make sure you watch, because you do have a little gasket here. that it'll probably stay in, but if it doesn't, just watch it. Make sure when you put it back in, it stays. I'm gonna go ahead and take this tank off now so I can see what I need to access, which is just this bolt, and then on the other side there's just a it feels like a 10 millimeter. It just screws out. So we'll get this tank off. Make sure you turn your gas off. I've already turned it off, so and yeah, get that out real quick. So on each side there's a little washer. There's the other one, and then there's this little rubber thing. Just pull that off, and then you got two 10 millimeters on both sides. So that's just for the tank. That goes right there. For this, I'm just gonna grab. I just got the some channel locks here. Just pick up on it. Okay, let's try this. So we're gonna try this. Yep, there you go. Boom. I just put a screwdriver, pried it off, and this tank will pop right off. First, I gotta disconnect the actual thing itself. So, okay, so for the petcock, there's a little screw. It just goes right in the hole. It's just sitting right there, so you can probably see that. Now from there, the tank should just pop right off. If it doesn't pop right off, then you probably forgot to do something. But just make sure you got that petcock off and everything like that. So let's put the tank back there. And now we are down to pretty much the main bones, which pulling off the rest of this stuff, it looks like mostly is going to just be trying to see what I really need to pull off here. So we got that bolt. I'm thinking both of these are going to have to come off, the two rear shocks, and whatever else like odds and ends I find that need to be pulled, I'll pull them, which I'm guessing the carburetor, so I'm going to have to flip this bike around and do all that stuff real quick. So I'll get right back to you. So carburetor's disconnected. There's this little hose right here that needs to come out. That's not supposed to happen. For some reason it pulled that thing out for whatever reason, so I don't know why. Around here, just twist this. You can kind of get a screwdriver back in there to flick this thing out. This thing just goes down and around there, so just pull that out. And then there's a little tiny hose clamp on here, and then just pull this tube out of here. And from there, it looks like everything is pretty much disconnected, other than whatever goes down in here. So there's just, it looks like a couple little things. So we'll just pull those. So it looks like just those three little things right there. So this little, if I can get a better look at it, this little white thing and these two little green things, they're probably look like the only thing connected. So we just disconnect them, and then everything should come off forward. And then we just got to take these bolts out on these, which are just look like little 10 millimeters. Should be. Yep, 10 millimeter. So, I'm trying to think what else. Oh, this brake cable might have to come out. I just saw that, which might be easy to just pull it out from up here, or pull it out from down there. I don't think it matters. It actually is probably easier to pull it out from down here. So, we will figure it out as we go, I guess. I'm gonna keep going, tackling at it, and see what I can get done. Okay, get back to you. So I'm gonna get this off now. They're just 10 millimeter bolts. So just 10 millimeter bolt, both sides, one over there and one here. So I need to get that off. And then I need to get this off, which I'm not for sure the size on this, but there's something else on this side, which is right there. From there, I think I have maybe a couple more things I need to take off. Other than that, I should be pretty much good. But obviously I'll update you once I get to a dead end. But so far, those bolts need to come off, these 10 millimeters up here. This frame mount needs to come off. And I'm hoping all this stuff will just kind of drift back, and this front part of this frame will go that way. So I'm hoping everything just kind of flows backwards and comes out. I am having a trouble with this tube right here. It just goes, it's just it goes down in there. If you can see that, right there. But it's like not wanting to come out. Like it's really in there, so I'm really fighting it. So I'm gonna keep trying to fight it, see if I can get that out of there, because that's the only thing really stopping me, other than taking these 10s, taking these, which they're probably like, I don't know, maybe 13s, 14, 15s, I don't know. They're up there. So okay, so like I said, there's this 10mm right here. It's just got a little washer on it. So just pull that out, and then I think these things pop out, yeah, and it looks like there is. So these things just kind of pop out. There's a little washer on this side. So we might have to take them out down here, which that looks like maybe an 11. So this line that came out there, which is now up here, it is the line from the reservoir where your oil goes in, since this bike is a self-mixing. You put the oil up here and the gas goes, normal just straight gas goes in the tank. So we got this little, it slides right down in there, and it goes on to this little valve right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, first of all, paper towel so I don't get oil everywhere. And then I'm going to I got some vice grips. I'm just going to put some vice grips on this line to keep the oil from dumping out. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so this bolt right here is a 12mm. This is the lower part of the shock bolt, so it will have to come out. You'll just pull it out, and it should just slide back, and then this will pull off, since it needs actually pulled off from here. So we're going to get these lowers off. So be right back once I get this one off. Okay, so I got the bolt out through. There's a nut on this side. You just pretty much take the nut off. It's a 14 both sides. So just take the nut off, and then I just took a screwdriver and pounded the bolt through. The bolt's right here. The nut I dropped down here, so I gotta find it, but it's just literally a bolt and a nut. No washers, no nothing like that, just literally the bolt and a nut. So we're gonna see if I can slide all this stuff back. I'm gonna try to slide it back now, see if I can't get this out of here, and then finally get to that side to replace that gasket. So I'll catch up with you in a second. So now after all that work, finally got the front disconnected. Front's back there. So it literally just slid straight out like I thought it would. So there's a lot to taking it off, but you do end up getting it out, and now you're down to the entire engine. So there ain't much left. I'm just going to spin it, and we're going to pop that off. So like I said earlier, there is this little tab here. This little plastic cover sits there, and this tab gets bent down over top of it like that. So you just bend that up, use a screwdriver, whatever. And then there's a little bolt down here. You just pull that off. You got your oil drain plug right there, which does need to come out, and you got that bolt right there. You already got them out. They're over there. And then now you have, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5. So you got about 5 bolts left, or 4 bolts left. No, you got 5 bolts left, and then this cover should pop out. So we'll pull these 5. They're just Phillip heads. They're probably not torqued or anything. Just make sure you use the right bit so you don't strip them. If not, you'll be buying new. So okay, so I got it as clean as I could. I have this scrub brush. That's about it. And I have just this cleaner right here that I was using. I'm spraying it down, and I had my air gun. I was just spraying some of the water off. I got it decently clean. It looks better than what it did. I even cleaned like the bottom side too, which looks so much better. The bottom side was caked. Tried to clean a little bit of the wheel. If you look at that side, how clean that side is, and how filthy that side is. Yeah. So, and then back in there, I really couldn't get to the scrub brush I have. I need like more of like a detailing brush, because that one's a little bit big. So I'm gonna take these bolts off now. Like I said, should be about 5 of them there. They're just a Phillips head. So what I ended up having to do was the easiest way is take your screwdriver and just put it in there and then give it a little bit of a twist and then kind of hold it. So I just hold it like that, and then take your dead blow, or if you got just a normal hammer, and just pound that thing till it breaks loose. Just because when I first started this, the first time I started on it, started to slip on me, and I'm having to go to a little bit of a thicker size. Pound it in there, and it's twisted right out. So another thing though, I got this thing out of here. So what I'm going to do is I started here. If you want to mark it, you can. I'm not going to because I know where I got it out of. I started right there. So I'm going to lay this one right here. And I'll get a paper towel out and I'll put them on the paper towel. And I'll take this one out. This one will spin out, and I'll spin this one and this one. But what I'll do is I'll place them. I'll place this one here. I'll place this one here. So I'll just keep placing them next to each other till I get to here. Because sometimes if you ever look, like this one came out of here, out of there, and then this one is clear over here, and they might be different sizes. I don't know if they are, but they might be. So no, it looks like these are the same size, but sometimes they can be different sizes. So you just always watch for that. Like this one up here, I mean, you don't know, it could go all the way down this whole entire thing. Who knows? And it could just be the same size as the rest of them. Yeah, see, perfect difference. So that one is shorter. So this one starts, and then this one, I can get them to quit rolling. And this one's clear at the end. So yeah, you never know. So I'm gonna get just a paper towel, just like this. I'm gonna lay it out. I'm gonna lay them on there. I'm gonna lay that one. I'm gonna lay this one, and this one I'm gonna lay there. And I'm just gonna keep twisting them out and putting them down just like this, and then I'll set them to the side, just so you know where you got them. Yeah, so that one's also different. So yeah, so you never know. So that's how I always keep them organized. Like I said, if you got like a paint marker, white or gray or something like that, or a Sharpie, just mark that, and then mark your first bolt or whatever the same color, and then go through and then mark your last bolt the same color as the last hole you pulled out. So just make sure you do that, because it just helps you in the long run. Just organization is key to doing all this stuff. If you're good and organized, then you shouldn't have any problems. Everything should go pretty smooth, unless you run into some hiccups, But as long as they're not hiccups caused by you while you're working, like putting bolts into bins like that, and then you got to dig through these bins. So just something to get a habit into is just laying these bolts out like that. And in this one, I will follow in line. Since I started here, but I mean, they're the same thing, but I'll start here, and then here, and then here, and then here. So I got here, 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 and then I go here, 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 and here. And then this one goes all the way over here, and then there's one right here, and this should be the last one. And then either this thing will just kind of come off, or you might have to give it a couple love taps to get it the rest of the way off. You never know. So let me get this bolt out real quick, and then I'll figure it out if I need to put some love taps to it. I feel like it's just gonna budge. I got all the bolts laid out right there, and I got them all out that I can see. Every single one of them's out. So now what I'm gonna do is I got this dead blow. This is just 2-pound dead blow. So I'm just gonna give it a couple taps, just in different spots, and then we're just gonna kind of try to work this out. So just don't hit it too hard. Don't use those. Use something soft, a mallet, a dead blow, something that's more rubberized, and you should be able to get it out perfectly fine. Try not to pry too much. If you can't get a side out, you can get like a real thin screwdriver. This one's not super thin, but if you get like a nice thin screwdriver, if you start to open it up, you can get a couple screwdriver back there. Don't pry on just one side. Make sure you pry. If you're prying on this side, pry on this bottom side. If you're prying over here, pry on this side. So you always want to pry on a couple sides. If not, you can risk cracking it. These things are cast. They will crack extremely easy. So you just got to be careful. So I'll be right back once I get this out. Okay. So really all I had to do was, first of all, this gasket doesn't look awful, but it's somewhere along the line it wasn't sealing. Somewhere around here it wasn't sealing. So I don't know why, but it is what it is. Make sure you don't lose your little pins. You have these little drop pins, and they just so you can line up the case easier. So I'm just going to drop them into the actual case side like that. We're going to just take a razor blade and clean this up. You can pull these out and clean these up. We're going to take this gasket off, and we're going to put the new gasket on. Like I said, I'm not seeing too much, but really all I had to do was I just took the mallet and I tapped right on this little ledge there, and it literally shot right off. So it really didn't take much to get it off, but now we're off. We're good. Everything in here looks pretty decent. I just kind of like to inspect all my gears and everything, make sure there's nothing wrong with nothing. So I'm just kind of looking in here to see if I can see anything. So make sure there's no metal, nothing broken in there. Like I said, everything in here looks pretty good, so I ain't too worried about it. It all looks fine. So we will just move on to cleaning this up, putting that gasket on, and hopefully this thing holds oil. Okay, so I got it cleaned up decently. I got the gasket cleaned up. I didn't really clean that up yet but that's with just a razor blade. Now I got this thing from Harbor Freight. It's just a little die grinder with a little low grit sanding pad on it. What you do is you just kind of take it, just lightly run it around there till you can see some shiny metal, and I'll do the same thing to that side. And then I'll show you a good way to put gaskets on in case you got to take them back apart. There's a way to do it where you don't rip the gasket when you pull it back apart. So, and it helps it seal a little bit better too. So I'm going to pull these pins back out. This one should just slide out, but I got to get that one out. And I'm going to take this die grinder and just go right around that. Make sure you don't try to nick any of these interior parts, and make sure when you're done you spray this out real good. Okay, so I got that case nice and cleaned up on this side. I still got to get there, but I got this cleaned up. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to spray some WD-40 on this rag. I'm just going to wipe it around in here and get it the rest of the way cleaned. And then, like I said, we're going to get it back on there and do what we got to do, see if it holds oil. Okay, so I got this case about as good as it's going to get. There is a little imperfection. If I can get it to focus on that. I don't know if you can see that. It's just right there. But it's leaking. I don't know if it's leaking here or if it's leaking down this or up here. I'm not really for sure, but I mean, it sits like that, and then wherever it's leaking over here. I'm thinking it's leaking up top, up here where my pinky is. I'm thinking it was leaking out of here, but I got this pretty cleaned. I'll wipe it down since I put it down on this surface, which was really clean, and I got that as good as I can get it without getting into any of this stuff, because you don't want it in there. And then I have sprayed it out with the air gun, and I took some WD-40 and I've just sprayed in there, and I've kind of wiped it out just to kind of keep it from rusting. The other thing I got to do is I got to clean this up, which to clean these little guide pins, whatever you want to call them, center pins, whatever. This one's kind of rusted. If I can get the focus on it. So you can see that rust on there. It's obviously not supposed to have that rust. So what I'll do is I got like 1500 grit sandpaper, and I'll just take it and I'll just kind of spin it in there. Throw some WD-40 on it. Kind of try to sand it down, smooth it out. This one looks good. Looks perfectly fine. Other than it's a little dirty. I need to clean it up a little bit, but other than that, I'll just sit them. One will sit there and one will sit right there. and then we will hopefully get this gasket on and get everything put back together. So I'll get back to you in a second. I got this one. Which one is it? This one right here. I got it better. It's still has got a little bit, but I got it pretty smooth. It feels smooth to the touch, so I ain't too worried about getting it. All I had was 500 grit, so that's what I used. And I just kind of rolled it around on it. Obviously now I got to try to get in there, so I'm going to just take a little bit of WD-40 and just kind of spray it in there. I don't want to miss it. And then I'm just going to take this, I'm just going to kind of roll it up, and I'm just going to kind of do this motion in there. And clean up the rust on the inside. This one in here, I'm going to run a rag in there because there's a little bit of some gunk in there, and there is some gunk I can see back in there. So I'll see what I can do with cleaning this up a little bit. So I'll get right back to you in a second. So now what you're going to do is you got your grease. What you're going to do is you're going to take your finger and your thumb, and I'm just going to kind of layer a grease, and I'm just going to kind of rub it into the gasket. And what this does, it kind of helps it seal, but also when you want to take it off, it doesn't stick to the actual surface, so you can reuse this gasket. So let's say I put this gasket on and something doesn't seal right, so I want to take it back off. I don't have to buy another gasket. So what this does is, like I said, it keeps it from ripping, but it also keeps it kind of stuck up there. Like, you got these pins and stuff that help you from keeping it, but like I said, you just put a light coat of grease, put it on your fingers, and just rub it into the gasket. Like I said, it just helps the gasket from ripping, and then like I said, it also helps it kind of stick. And then from here, you just take your cover, and we will just pop this cover up here like so, and that is all you got to do with it. Make sure you get that seated. Don't try to really pound it on there. Make sure you get everything lined up, and it should just sit. It should just kind of seat itself. Don't try to force it with like a hammer or anything if it doesn't go. Just make sure you get it on there. You just got to get those pins lined up so you kind of work it on and see how it's nice and lined up now. And then now you just throw your bolts in. And obviously you don't torque these bolts, just tighten them down, snug them up. Don't strip them out. Don't do anything like that. Just kind of snug them up. Like I said, now you got this nice tray back here with your bolts on it, and they're all lined up starting here all the way around to here. So now we got everything lined up and everything good. Also, don't forget you got this little plastic cover that just goes over this, kind of protects your actual case. So I recommend putting it back on. It might look kind of a little silly, but it does protect the actual original thing, and it's done a pretty good job. So I'm gonna throw it back on just because keep the bike look fresh. So I'll get back to you once I get these bolts all in. Also, make sure when you're putting all these in, go ahead and snug them all the way down, get them all flush and snug, and then you're wanting to just tighten these down in a crisscross pattern. So you just snug everything down to where it's nice and snug. I'm gonna give this a little tap, make sure that's dented in, make sure this is on there, everything's snug, everything's good. Now, oil wise, this is for a gearbox, so you can run gear oil, which I just got 80 W85, or you can run just normal 10W30. You can run normal 10W40, which I don't have any right now, so I'm just going to throw in some of this gear oil. I can't remember, I think it's like a quart and a half or something like that, or maybe it's just a quart, I don't remember 100%, probably have to look that up. So I'll see what this thing does. This thing should just do, I'm trying to think, probably about right around there. It's probably what I need. So I don't know. I'll find out how much needs to go in there. But okay, so I overfilled mine, but you're supposed to have about 300 milliliters, which this says 296, so about right there before the 300, or sorry, no, you do need 300. Yeah, so that would be, so I guess like right around in here, that's where you'd stop. So obviously you'd have this upside down like that. Obviously I filled it way too much, so I'm probably gonna drain a little bit of this stuff out, and then I'll throw a little bit back in or whatever, so I'll see what I gotta do. So I'm just draining all the oil out that I got, and I'm just gonna fill it up with the proper amount because I'm stupid. Like I said, you can run 10W 40 in this, or like I said, I'm gonna run 80 weight. They recommend running 10W 40, but this is just for start test. I'll go get some tomorrow and actually put the right, which I don't know why I'm draining this now, but whatever, it is what it is. So I'm just letting it drain, and then I'm gonna throw that in there, and we should be good on well. Okay, so like I said, where is it? This bottle, if I flip it over, it's about, yeah, so there's how much I really need in it. So I'm just going to put pretty much the rest of this in there. It's a little bit over, but it's probably less than what I had in there because I had all of that stuff in there because this was a full bottle. So I'm going to put it, like I said, it's only 300 milligrams. So just put 300 milligrams in there. Sorry, milliliters, not milligrams. Okay, so I got everything put back together. I got the bolts all in. Everything is back together other than the entire rest of the bike. So I got the bolt covered in anti-seize. Now we're just going to put it in, and then whatever, if we have a little bit of anti-seize out, we'll just wipe it off. So I recommend putting anti-seize so you don't have anything seize on you if you got to take it back apart sometime. Okay, so first things first, with that little oil thing right there, it is really hard to even get it in. So what I did was I have just a heat gun, and I just kind of grabbed the pliers and warmed up the end of it, held it up here, and then it kind of went, it was a little bit, I took these pliers and I just kind of grabbed it and I just kind of pushed it down on with two hands. The other thing though is that you might think this is going to be a little bit tricky to put it on. The easiest way to do it though, because you have to run it up under this little thing right here, because this thing got to come through and then hooks into the carb right there. So this right here, just take it like this and put it in just like that with it above everything. See how I have it right there? So put it just like that, and then all you do is you just wrap this thing down around, and it will seat itself like that. And then this just pops up, you just pull it up, and then you just slide it right down just like that, and then now you're good to go. Now if I actuate this throttle, that's all there is to it. Throttle might be a little tight. Probably adjust it a little bit, but I mean, it's not like it's got to move a ton. Yeah, my throttle's sticking. I don't think it's down here though. I think it's up top here. So I'll see. I'll probably take this up top here and I'll have to fix it because I think it's sticking up here. It's just not. So I'll figure that out. It might just need a little bit of grease in there or something. So, okay, so my phone died. I had to let it charge a little bit. So I got the cover back on. I got the thing back in. I got this thing fed back through. I got the carb kind of fed in. I got everything pretty much buttoned up now. I got these back on. So everything's pretty much good to go. I'm just about to put the airbox on. So yeah, I got pretty much everything put back together that needs to be put back together. I got everything up here wise. I got The brakes nice and tight for front and back, so they're nice and good. When you're adjusting brakes, I mean, this is a kid's bike, so I might adjust it a little bit differently, but you always want to have the less brake the pull is better. So with this bike, right there pretty much stops it. So as soon as you barely pull that brake, it pretty much dead stops. Since this is a kid's bike, for the front, I'm going to keep it a little bit softer because I don't want them accidentally grabbing a little bit of this and going over the bars. But this, I mean, I might soften it up just a tad. I might go a couple turns out so it's not so aggressive, but we'll find out in a second. But other than that, everything is buttoned up. I got everything pretty much done. Bike's good to go. I just need to get the tank back on. I got to get that. Got the tank back there to put back on. And, oh, I need to put this other shock back on. And then there's a couple little pieces right there, which I think those are tank bolts and stuff. And then we should be good to go. So let's get all that crap put back together. I'll get back to you guys. Get this thing on right here. Just take a screwdriver, just a flathead screwdriver, and then we're just gonna pry it just like this. Kind of want to get it, bring that tape down, get it kind of on top of that little thing. It's easier with one hand or two hands, and just pop, just like that. Just slides right on. That's the easiest way to get that on because it's really short. Also, make sure you put this down here on before you put the tank on, because I already got the tank bolted down and I was like, oh shoot, I need to get that on. So make sure you do that before you get the tank on. Other than that, I got to get the petcock hooked up. It's pretty simple. It's just this. And then there should be, I don't know if there was a clip on that or not. I think there was, but I don't know where it is, which shouldn't be. I have actual hose clamps I'll just throw on there. So I don't got a hose clamp on there. I might throw one on here in a little while because that is really loose. Other than that, all I gotta do is put the seat and the little mud cover thing back on, and it's all ready to go. Before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the gas on. So get that gas on, make sure spark plug's in there. And then I'm just gonna pull it down, I'm gonna choke it, see if it will start up. And then I think from there I'm gonna have to tune the carb and do all that other fancy stuff. So I'm extremely dumb and I start kicking this thing over. And I don't know if you guys can see if I'm missing anything, but I'll tell you, I'm missing the exhaust because it's sitting right there. So I had to put the exhaust back on and start kicking it over. I was like, why is this thing not starting? I would say this is probably the reason why it's not starting. So if you're a dummy like me, just remember to put the exhaust back on, I guess. Probably help you. So yeah, I'm going to get the exhaust back on now. As you guys know, just slide it in that bolt and in that bolt. So I think that's a 12, a 10, and 10. So let's get that exhaust on now. So another thing with this exhaust, as you kind of go through and you do this stuff, make sure you leave everything kind of loose all the way till you get back here, and then kind of tighten everything down together. Because if you tighten this stuff down, typically when you try to go put this stuff on, it's not going to match up. So just make sure you kind of leave everything loosened, especially these fronts, because you kind of want everything to fall in place, and then tighten down pretty much from back to front. Front should be the last thing you tighten. So it fired up. Got to kind of warm up first. Sounds pretty good. I mean, that's better than what it was. I'm gonna obviously check and make sure the oil isn't leaking. So it's running. I'm gonna adjust the idle because it's kind of bogging down. So I'm gonna mess with the idle down here. or not idle, but the air screw. I'm going to turn it in a little bit, or sorry, I'm going to turn it out a little bit. Yeah, if they want the ball get power, so I'm going to mess with it and find out what I can do with it. So I'll get back to you in a little bit. So it's wanting to, it's idling, but it, like when I give it to gas, it sounds like it wants to bog real bad. See how it's wanting to bog? It just doesn't feel like it has the power that it should. So I think I'm just gonna take it in. Thanks for watching though. I hope this was a good first video for this channel. I just thought I would share what I like to do. This is just my hobby. So I would come on here and hopefully teach you guys, and hopefully you guys can help me and teach me some things. So I'll make a couple more videos on the 50, hopefully getting it perfectly dialed in. This thing I'm gonna figure out, try to get it dialed in. If I can't get it dialed in, then I'm sending it to the Honda shop. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope I taught you a little bit of something, and yeah, please subscribe. Honestly, this is something that I don't really care about subscribers, but if you are really interested in what I'm doing, please go ahead and subscribe. What I'm here for is to teach you, and hopefully you guys can teach me a little bit of something. So see you guys later. Peace.